Not many people remember the war in Chechnya. Well, this was a major tank loss for the Russians. They went into Chechnya expecting that they were going to use overwhelming force of tanks to scare the Chechnyan people into surrender. They took a big long tank column and drove it right in through the city, and the Chechnyans, who used to be part of the former Soviet Union, they had a stockpile of RPGs, that's rocket-propelled grenade launchers, like the RPG-7. So what they did was they hit the first tank in the column and the last tank in the column, and the tank was stuck there in the middle of the city. Tanks, I should say. About 200 of them. And the Chechnyans, they were able to take out nearly all of those tanks. Out of the close to 1,000 crews, over 700 of them were killed. That's a lot of carnage, but also the Russians, being overconfident, drove into the middle of the city with rubble blocking both sides of the road, preventing them from driving off of their direct line course. It also allowed buildings around them to have Chechnyan rebels inside of them, firing these RPGs down on top of the tanks where the armor is the thinnest. You don't really want to shoot an RPG at the front of a tank. You got too much chance of deflection and a lot less chance of penetrating it. So it's an important thing to know your enemy. But also, this battle speaks of overconfidence. Just because they have superior machinery and superior firepower doesn't mean that they can do a damn thing. You have to know your enemy. You have to know what they're going to do. And the Russians, well, they were always overconfident. The Chechnyans, many of the rebels, were part of the former Soviet Union, part of the former Soviet Army. Instead of being 18, 19, and 20-year-old boys, they were 40-year-old men who already knew about combat, who were more mature in their actions and in their thinking, a lot less gung-ho. That was a major issue that the Russians, the Americans, the Germans, and the British had in World War II. Too many kids on the battlefield. Too many kids in charge on the battlefield. This is Chechnya. It's kind of like David and Goliath. Sure, Goliath had heavy armor and could wield a sword that David could barely lift, had a heavy shield. But David had a tiny pebble and a way to fire it. And he found the weak spots. And that there is the story of Chechnya and its independence. It's time for American citizens, especially the poor, to declare their independence from this rotten government.